My top 10 rock and heavy metal concerts of the 1980s. I was there. Were you? Kick it. Alright, let's go on a time warp machine all the way back to the 1980s. Of course, like, subscribe, do whatever you want. And we're going to start. What I'm going to do is go through my first 10 concerts, and then we're going to quickly put them in order. I'll put them in order. You'll appreciate the order. You'll agree with the order. How could you not? First concert was summer of 1981. I was a 10-year-old little brat, and we had this thing called ChicagoFest, and our mayor at the time, Jane Byrne, wanted to call it Jane Byrne ChicagoFest, and they got Cheap Trick to come in and play in August of 1981. I think my mom and her friend and my dad went off to see Crystal Gale or somebody, and my sister and me walked over to see Cheap Trick, because ever since Dream Police that I took from my sister, that record, I just worship Cheap Trick. Love Cheap Trick. To this day, they're still my favorite band, so I'm honored to say that they were my first true rock concert. Summer, August 1981, Cheap Trick. They were kind of promoting this record at the time. First song was Stop This Game, and just from there it was boom, 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 song after song after song, and I just loved it. Obviously, way back being 10, I don't remember that much of it, but I do remember this interesting fact. Now, I've gone to some pretty rough shows. One of the roughest shows I saw was this band called Murphy's Law, and it was just skinheads and people beating each other up and jumping and all that. But I fared well at that concert. I fared well. Cheap Trick, I got knocked down my butt. Some guy was there with this girl, and I guess another girl walked by in the seats right next to me, and he grabbed her butt or smacked her rear end in her little tight blue jeans back then in the 80s, and his girlfriend turned around and punched or pushed him, and he fell into me, and I just remember as a kid, all of a sudden I was looking at the stage waiting for Cheap Trick, and I was looking at the sky, and then people were like, you can't hit the kid, and I always hated to be called a kid. I'm not a kid, I'm a little man. I'm a little man. There is concert footage of that. If you go to YouTube and put search ChicagoFest Cheap Trick, it'll show up because they broadcast the show for something, so it is on tape. You won't see me in the crowd though. They scanned the crowd a few times and I was just too little. But anyway, 1981, Cheap Trick, my first concert. Now, it took a few years to convince my parents to let me go to rock and roll concerts without them. They did drag me to some country music stuff. I remember seeing Reba McEntire open up for Ronnie Millsap, but I'm not going to count that as one of my top first 10 concerts. Ronnie Millsap didn't see me there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So my second concert was September of 1985. This band that I worshipped at the time, little band from California called RATT, Invasion of Your Privacy. This was their third record, and I'll tell you, people may forget just how freaking big RATT was. Of course, their second record had Round and Round. MTV loved it, played the hell out of it. This is Lay It Down and You're in Love. We're on this song. Robin Crosby was still alive and in the band, and they came out and just tore it up. 1985. I loved RATT. I also sort of heard of their opening band, little band from New Jersey called Bon Jovi. They opened up the show, and this record, this is their second, was it didn't catapult them yet into what we know today as Bon Jovi. But I remember a girl from high school was like, if you buy me a program, I'll be your friend. And I couldn't afford the program, and really she was going to be my friend anyway. At that RATT show, I did get a concert t-shirt. I have a few of my concert t-shirts that I've kind of torn up. I was going to put in a quilt or something. I never will. I did sell my RATT concert t-shirt and a few others on eBay a few years ago because they go for a lot of money if they're still in clean condition, which none of mine were, but just a couple of them. So my third show was November of 1985. It was a band that I loved. I loved their second record. Didn't really hear them when that first record came out, but when their second record called Shout at the Devil came out, oh my God, that thing did not leave my turntable. A little band also from LA, California, MOTLEY, CRUE, and they were just... Man, it was this record is not one of my favorites, MOTLEY CRUE, and I wish I would have seen them on the Shout tour. I didn't really, at the time I even went to that concert, I didn't really know a lot of these songs because they were playing Home Sweet Home a lot and Smoking in the Boys Room, their big cover song, but I really love Shout. And of course, this being their third record, third big United States tour, they're still playing course, all the early stuff from the first two records, obviously. So it is great. I saw them then in '85. I just saw them a few years ago. What was supposed to be their final tour to pay my respects. But obviously, they're still going to come around and all that because money talks. Now, opening up for MOTLEY CRUE was this band called Autograph. who you might know from Turn Up the Radio. So there was an autograph, I believe, from Russia, but this was the American band autograph. They had Turn Up the Radio, and this is their second album. I'm probably one of the few people who actually purchased it. It had Blondes in Black Cars was their big kind of song at the time, and they opened up the show. It was the big hair era. So these guys, big hair. CRUE came out with big hair. It was just a big hair. Everyone had fun. I remember being on the main floor, being a little kid, and not being able to see a lot. I did every once in a while get to glance at the little video screen they had of the band there, and sometimes you saw like girls flashing and all kinds of interesting 1980s heavy metal stuff at rock concerts. My fourth concert in January of 1986 at the UIC Pavilion in Chicago was a band that I worshipped as a kid. Every kid growing up in the 70s, you loved Star Wars and you loved Kiss. It was the law, you had to do it. Now, I was kind of upset that I wasn't seeing the 4 iconic Kiss characters that I grew up with, but I was still pretty happy to finally see Kiss. 2 of the characters without their makeup, and 2 other guys, Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick. And they were on the Asylum tour here, and it was an awesome, awesome show. But the thing I remember most about this Kiss show is not Kiss, sadly enough. And they probably put a great effort to playing, but the opening band. Originally, the opening band was supposed to be, I think, Black and Blue, when it was rumored that, Kiss was going to go on the road. And I really liked the band Black and Blue. But this band took over part of the tour, a band called W.A.S.P. And these guys blew Kiss off the stage. The energy, the Last Command just had so many great songs. Wild Child, Blind in Texas. It was just, and a lot of the crowd were just blown away by W.A.S.P. We enjoyed Kiss. We enjoyed the whole show, but W.A.S.P really took that night. And I haven't seen them since. I've actually bought tickets to go see them in late 2022. It's like their 40th anniversary or something. So I'm looking forward to seeing W.A.S.P. My 5th show in April of 1986, I did a long review for just like 2 videos ago. So go check that out. It's Metallica, Ozzy review of that show. So I won't blabber on about that because you can hear the long version. So I finally got to see a guy I worship pretty much, Ozzy Osbourne on the Ultimate Sin tour. I was a big fan of this record. And the opening band, of course, was the one and only Metallica. Cliff Burton's still playing with them. Master of Puppets. Like I said in my review, man, the crowd was into Metallica. This was awesome, and it's great to have seen them on that tour. My number 6 show, a band that I loved. I grew up listening to The Loop, which was rock radio, then classic rock radio, and they would play a band from Canada, not Rush, but Triumph. World of Fantasy, Magic Power, great songs. Always wanted to see them. In November of 1986, at the Rosemont Horizon, which is now, I think, Allstate Arena or something, but the Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont, Illinois, just outside Chicago, Triumph came here on the Sport of Kings tour. Somebody's Out There was their big kind of hit single at that time. MTV was playing a little bit of Triumph, and I just loved it. These guys had a laser light show, and they put on a hell of a show with all these lasers jumping around, and I was interested to go because the opening band was a band that I also loved, Bad Company. Now, this is not with Paul Rodgers. This had a guy called Brian Howe singing, but they were still playing, obviously, the old Bad Company hits. So they opened the show, and it was a good time. Bad Company Triumph. The 7th show I saw in March of 1987. I had to be a little 15, 16-year-old kid. My sister's friend could bring me. I really wanted to go see this band. This was like kind of one of the more, I'd seen Metallica already, so I was kind of getting into the scarier, heavier stuff. And this band that I love since Number of the Beast was coming to town. I was finally going to see them. A little band from the UK called Iron Maiden, and they were on the Somewhere on Tour, Somewhere in Time tour. I did buy this shirt. You can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Bought this shirt. This I won't sell on eBay. I just love this thing. Iron Maiden, sometimes they play like big cities and stuff, would do personalized stuff for that city. Obviously Chicago, organized crime, Al Capone. So they did that whole Dress to Kill in Chicago. Bought that jersey shirt. Probably was a crazy expensive price of like $20 way back then. So I'll just show it to you better here. And then across the backside of it says Chicago Mutants Rule. Because we rule. We were crazy crowds in Chicago. From 1987. So the main show was just great. They were just playing all the stuff. We got to sing Happy Birthday to Steve Harris because the following day, I think, was his birthday. and it was just a stage show with the big Eddie coming out. I mean, Iron Maiden always puts on a great show. I've seen them a few times since, and they just always phenomenal band. They should be in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too, but so yeah, saw them on this tour. Now, opening was a band that not a lot of people were into. Matter of fact, it's one of the last bands I saw get booed, because I don't think people even boo anymore. They just either record your band if they like you, or they text their friends if they don't like you, I guess. But this band called Waysted, and they were really good. Now, they're really poppy on the side of heavy metal, so you throw a poppier, singy kind of band in front of Iron Maiden, or anyone really in front of groups like, Slayer and Maiden, and crowd's not going to really want to sit for it. I was one of the ones that really liked this band a lot, but like I said, they got booed pretty heavily. I've seen a few bands booed since then, but not a lot booed. The art of booing is gone. Let's bring back the boo. Hashtag bring back the boo. If you're not having a good time, you boo them. But don't boo Waysted. This is catchy stuff. This is really good stuff. I was glad to see them on this tour. My 8th concert, 1987. My sister was all about this band, and I was like, yeah, I'll go, because I like the opening band a lot. I was kind of over the whole Bon Jovi hype. There's only so many times you could hear Wanted, Dead or Alive on the radio, or You Give Love a Bad Name. Kind of felt like their music. I really liked the first 2 albums, especially that first record, and I just felt like it was getting kind of like cheesy, and I just wanted a little more to my heavy metal. So, but I was gonna go because you can people watch, and you can also see the opening band, which I was way into. And the opening band was this little band from Philadelphia called Cinderella. I actually saw them twice, same show. Cinderella opened for Bon Jovi. Saw them twice in that year, but I only counted it as one of my first 10 shows, but I really loved Cinderella, and it was awesome. Now, October of 1987, at the Rosemont Horizon, I have quite a few friends that I met years later that were like, oh, I was at that show too. It was like, if you were a kid and you liked rock and roll, you went to this show. What am I talking about? October 1987, the Hysteria Tour came to Chicago, Def Leppard. Every song on this pretty much was released as a single. This record had to sell 1 trillion copies or the band would have broken up because they were in debt horribly, and this record delivered. Hysteria, great record. It's probably the last Def Leppard record that I was like anticipating to buy and got. I've got a few of their others since then and seen them play live since this, but man, 1987, Def Leppard, Hysteria, it was just great. They were playing in the round, so the stage was in the middle. Everyone was around. Let's see, October 1987, I would have been a 16-year-old kid, hormones flying, looking at all the big hair on the girls and just the girls wearing all kinds of sexy little 80s outfits to the heavy metal show. It was good stuff, I'll tell you. And the opening band was one of my favorites at the time. It's still one of my favorite rock bands, Tesla. And this record, this debut record from Tesla, is one of the best 80s rock records you'll ever want to hear. It is amazing. I had a great time with them playing. It was just, I tell you, a lot of people in this area. If you're a good rock and roll, you went 1987. You went Tesla, Def Leppard. That's where it all began. So for my 10th show, what could top that? What could top Def Leppard and Tesla? Who was I shelling out my little money to go see? I'll tell you, in February of 1988, I went with my friend Eric from high school. Eric was a bootlegger. He would shove a tape player down his pants, record all these concerts, and trade with other people on cassette tapes. A lot of the concerts sound exactly what you would imagine from a tape recorder shoved down somebody's pants. But me and Eric went. I convinced my parents to let me go with the Weird Eric to see one of my favorite bands. Loved them ever since I got my hands years before on a copy of 2112. Rush, Hold Your Fire Tour. This is where I got this t-shirt right here from. Well, I cut it out now because it's so badly stained and discolored. But anyway, Rush, Hold Your Fire Tour. It was amazing. Those were 3 guys that I just pretty much worship. Loved Rush. Still love Rush. Saw them a few times, after this, obviously. And sadly, there is no more Rush, but they left us with a great catalog of music. First time I saw them was the Hold Your Fire Tour. Amazing show. Eric and I, we got main floor seats. And what we would do is I guess they called the Andy Fran, or the kind of security people that work there at the Rosemont Horizon. And we would wait for them not to be looking, and we would sneak a row and sneak a row. So we finally got in front of Alex Lifeson, maybe like 10th, 11th, 12th row. And it was like, this is amazing. Like the people that were standing there kind of know these, 2 little high school brats were sneaking in, but they were cool with us. Yeah, come on, sneak. And it was just great concert. Opening was also fun because I always loved Styx. So opening the show was Tommy Shaw of Styx. Played a really short set. He was just there kind of promoting stuff. This album came out a little bit before the show, but he was, promoting songs off of this and just playing and jamming and, hey, opening up for Rush. That's a fun time. So there you have it. My first 10 rock and roll and heavy metal concerts. Probably some of you weren't at the Rosemont Horizon or the Chicago shows, but let me know in the comments below if you were at any of the shows on tour, because obviously all these shows went on a big tour. And I do have to mention my 11th show, because I was like, oh, I thought that was in the top 10, because I forgot about Iron Maiden somehow. But I saw Pink Floyd, which was at the time was 1988, was 3/4 of the band. The iconic Pink Floyd. No Roger Waters, sadly. But they were on the Momentary Lapse of Reason tour. Got that shirt from that. And what's interesting about that, and especially if there's young people watching this, you will not have any understand. Why'd you do that? So my dad went to work early. He was a union electrician in Chicago. Dropped me off at the Hillside Mall at the end of where Carson Perry Scott was. And I slept on the ground there for a few hours waiting for Carson Perry Scott to open up, because upstairs was either a Ticketron or a Ticketmaster, and you had to run through the department store. Those store employees said, slow down, and you run up, and you run upstairs in the escalators, and up top you would go then form this line and wait to get your tickets. And I just remember I was going with a friend, his uncle and his uncle's friend, and just remember saying, I need 4 Pink Floyd tickets, 4 Pink Floyd tickets. And then the person just types it in. Well, we have it. Yes, I'll take it. Just hurry up. So we got pretty good seats, and it was just an amazing concert. Didn't see much of it because the pot smoke, the clouds, like you see Inflatable Pig and a bunch of high people. Pink Floyd. You didn't see much of the stage. It was so much smoke, but I did get to see Pink Floyd in 1988. Today's world, you're like, oh, I want to go see a concert. Oh, yeah, I got tickets. You don't even know the struggle of sleeping on concrete for hours and hours and hours and whatever. So, let's rank these in the top 10. Top 10 concerts by ranking starts now. So, number 10. Now, remember, I had great times at all these shows. I'm so glad I went to them. Great to see 80s metal, rock, hair metal, whatever you want to call it, in its heyday. So much fun. But my least favorite was probably Bon Jovi on the Slippery When Wet tour. I'm sorry, guys. Number 9, Motley Crue. Again, wish I saw him at Devil Tour. Number 8 was RATT. Again, a great show, but you got to put them in some kind of order. Number 7 was Kiss. Finally seeing Kiss. My 6th favorite of these concerts was Triumph. They put on an amazing show. Number 5, Ozzy Osbourne, the one and only. Number 4, Iron Maiden. You talk about a band that puts on a phenomenal stage show. Great musicians, really pumps up the crowd, has an energetic crowd. Always go and see them. Iron Maiden. Number 3, what a classic concert. Def Leppard, Hysteria. Seeing Stephen Clark for the last time. Coming back with the drummer with one arm, proving that he can do it. And this was the tour that he came out with that electronic set and was like, yep, I got it. One arm, no problem. Unbelievable. My 2nd favorite concert. Iconic guys. Love this band. Such a part of my life, even to today. The amount I'll play this band over and over and over. Their music means so much to me. I could pinpoint where I was when I heard the songs, how they make me feel. When a band becomes part of your life, hell yeah. Rush, my 2nd favorite concert. Of course, the only thing that will beat that is my first concert, being my first favorite band, of course, 1981 ChicagoFest. My favorite band, my favorite concert of these 10, Cheap Trick. And the funny thing about that CRUE concert is years before, people just knew how much I loved them. The girls from my grade school class, because I had a birthday party, all chipped in. They went to the Hillside Mall at the airbrush place. How 80s is that? You can't get more 80s than going to get an airbrush t-shirt at a mall in the 80s. And they got Vince Neil on this shirt for me, sleeveless, of course. And I still have it to this day. They put my name on the back. You had to have your name on the back. That's how you owned it. That's how people knew who you were. And I'm positive I probably wore this to the concert. Let's put it on. The fits like a glove. I probably wore this. It was like, Motley Crue, Motley Crue. And then they played a lot of lame songs from Theater of Pain. But when they cracked out the older stuff, Motley Crue, Motley Crue.